Hi, guys. I wanted to make, I guess, a third follow up video to this because a couple of people had pointed something out, and I just want to make it clear that, yeah, I know there's a bit of irony going on here. And I just wanted to say that, you know, first of all, I'm a high school dropout. Okay. I got a GED, and I managed to go from blue collar worker up to computer scientist. And now I'm retired. So one of the things, in my life is that I'm not good at English. Okay. Just like Forrest struggles writing, I struggled reading. And matter of fact, when I quit school, it was in English class. My teacher was so boring, I just couldn't take it. I mean, I wasn't learning anything. Um, so the downside to that is I have a hard time understanding things. So I try to improve myself, and the way I improve myself was by researching the grammar because, as I said, I believe grammar is important in here. So the issue is that I understand what is in my mind. I know what the point that I'm trying to get across. The problem is that I might not know the exact syntax with diagramming, and also I may not be able to articulate the grammar stuff as well as I should be able to, but I'm not an expert. I mean, just looking at tenses alone, there's like 50 million tenses. I mean, English is confusing, right? I mean, you have past, present, past, and then past, present, continuous, and blah blah blah. Okay, and the way it works is the tense could be modified by the verbs. Okay, so a having verb, an auxiliary verb or a helping verb could modify, the verb after it and cause a tense change, or just a single verb by itself could imply the tense. So I understand, the point that I was trying to make, but I may not have said it appropriately. And a couple of people, kindly pointed that out. There's Greg here pointed it out in one of my videos, and then also I had a short discussion with Frank over on Sacha's board, Facebook group, and Jason's Facebook group. And I mean, the correct way to, I suppose, to do that diagram would be this: you have been wise and found the blaze. Okay, so the subject is you, and then what I should have done, okay, was put this there by itself. Actually, I'm saying I should have done. I still don't know whether that's absolutely the correct way. But I don't want to get hung up on stuff like this because I don't believe that Forrest intended us to be an expert in grammar. What I'm trying to do here is have a thorough understanding of what the poem is saying because you can't just look at the definitions of individual words. You have to understand the phrasing he used, and you have to look at the context, and you have to know in order to be able to choose the correct definition in the first place. So I'm going to do it slightly different here. Okay, so we have the same thing, the same construct that I had before, except this time I'm not going to put the word have down there. Okay, so have was created because he says you apostrophe be, which is a contraction of the word you have. So this conjunction and is tying the two phrases together. Been have been wise and found the blaze. Okay. So technically I can do it like this. And again, it's not really going to change the meaning of everything before. So I'll put that up here. You have been. Okay. And then down here, you found. So it's essentially the same. It's just that I moved the helping verb have up there and only apply it to been. Okay. So this is still doesn't change the tenses. Okay. It doesn't change anything that I described before, but it might make it a little bit more clear for you. And then, of course, everything still goes the same way. I'm not going to reiterate that. This is still a verb phrase acting as an adjective, modifying the noun, which is you. Okay. But in this case, found is an action. I want to do it like this. Okay, so this is all the same. Uh, but the point is that um, we're still focused on the word found here, at least right now. Okay. And again, if a lot of people look at that word and they think in their mind, they're thinking a visual that they're going to be walking the path from where warm water salts to the canyon down, and they're going to see a blaze. It's a visual thing. And yes, you are going to see a blaze. It is a visual thing. But think about it. Forrest did not say if you have been wise and seen the blaze. Okay. He chose the word found because you're not just going to see it. A matter of fact, you won't see it until you've found it. How's that sound for confusing? Again, you got to look at the definition of the word found, but don't focus on the past participle part of it. Obviously, found is past tense, just like have been. Okay, but don't focus on that. What does the word found mean? All right. So you're not going to see it until you found it. All right. My point is still the same, and I understood what those people were telling me, but I just articulated it wrong. I'm not good at expressing myself. So he was very careful when he chose his words, and he's relying on the fact that you're going to do the work to make sure that you understand the poem. Now, I don't think he wants you to be a grammar expert, but what he's telling you is that you need to take a close look. And what I discovered was that a way to take a close look at the grammar is to do a diagram. As simple as that. Again, to go back to that point, so we're back here on that same map again. And what we're doing is, and I'll do it slightly different this time. We're finding clues. We went through the book. We know what the clues mean. Now we're looking at a map and finding them. And I'm just going to use Temple, Texas, as an example again. But let's say, and no, this is not a solve, and no, none of these points are going to make any sense. I'm just trying to make a point here. So let's say that you go and you find where warm water salt and it's over here. Okay. And then you're looking all around. Now, first of all, don't just look like right here. Radiate out from your point. Let's say, oh, here's here's my canyon down. It's over here. Okay. So now we got two clues, right? So now you go on, you look the Homer Brown. I don't know where the Homer Brown is. I don't even know. Is it, it's a proper noun, but is it brown trout, brown, whatever? Let's skip that right now. In the second stanza, first of all, he's saying, begin it where warm water salt and take it in the canyon down. Not far, but too far to walk. He doesn't use the word it anymore. He says put in below the home of Brown, but we don't know. So let's just for now continue on. Maybe it's going to tell us where the home of Brown is. Okay. Maybe we're going to define the boundary of that within the area that he described in the first stanza. So let's go to the next line. From there, it's no place for the meek. Now, first thing I want to say is that the word there, he says from there. Now, the last thing he said is put in below Homer Brown. So he's saying from there being, if, let's say, well, let me not draw anything on here right now, but the Homer Brown is, let's say, an area, and he's saying from there, which means away from there, away from there. It, now we're back to the word it again, is no place for the meek. So let's say that my no place for the meek is here. Okay. And now from there, it's no place for the meek. The end is ever drawing nigh. I figured that's maybe that, that's up around here somewhere, right? And then uh, there'll be no paddle up your creek. Let's say that's, I don't know, down here, right? No paddle up your creek. And these are clues that you've married to a map, right? Now, from there, from here, it's no place for the meek. The end's ever drawing nigh. There'll be no paddle up your creek. And let's say heavy loads and water high is up here. Just we're gonna. Now, I'm not saying that this is gonna appear as like points on the star, and I'm also not saying that warm water salt is here. It could be down here, and the canyon down could be up here. But the same thing still applies. The other four clues are going to be in the area. Okay, so we still don't know where the Homer Brown is. But let's try something. Let's see, begin it. So if we used those four clues to, let's say, define an area, the borders of something. Let's say it was the borders of Temple. Okay. So we define the borders of Temple. Maybe he gave us the four corner points, right? And you'll notice that Warm Water Salt and Canyon Down overlaps it. So if you connect your clues in the order that the poem describes, you would take it from there, Canyon Down, and then the end is ever drawing nigh, up to I mean, no place for the meek to the end is drawing nigh, and then your other one is over here, right? So actually, I didn't draw my circles in the right spot. Well, you see what I mean? If your clue's wrong, look, that didn't work because it crossed over the first line twice. And if your clue's over here, it didn't work. It didn't cross the first line at all. The only way it's possibly going to work is if this clue was in the right spot and this clue and all of the clues. So now we look at that. And if you look at it and you look at the syntax of the poem, the semicolon would actually be right here. Okay. So the home of Brown is essentially over here. And the poem shows you where it was. It confirmed it for you. And everything radiates out from there. From there, it's no place for the meek, pointing on this way. The end is ever drawing nigh. Remember, we're still in the same context. He's still in the from there clause. So from there, and the semicolon basically means that the two lines to the left of it and the two lines after it, because that's an entire sentence, are both related to each other. It's a series of four things, but he's telling you that the first two are related to the second two. So you're showing the relationship here. Okay. So if this is no place for the meek, and then the end is ever drawing nigh, there'll be no pedal up your creek. Well, first of all, we're going down here, but maybe your creek is here, right? And then it says just heavy loads and water high. If heavy loads and water high are up here, he's just defined put in below the Homer Brown, which makes sense in the next stanza when he tells you to look quickly down. He's telling you to look quickly down from this point. Okay. This is your blaze right here. We found it. We created it. We established it using the clues and the directions in the poem. And somebody, the people that have got this clue correct and this clue correct, walked right by the chest within 500 feet. Well, you can see why that happened. Matter of fact, they stopped here and they took pictures and they gave it to Forrest and said, "Look, my chase failed. I thought I had the right well water salt, but we didn't find the chest. So while we were out there, we stopped here and we looked at this site, and Forrest is saying, my God, they were within 500 or 200 feet of the chest." And he said, "I know they didn't know why they were there because their clues were all wrong." So, I mean, technically, even if the person knew that they were the 200 footer, it's not going to make any difference because they would just go back and walk past it again. It's absolutely impossible, in my opinion, to figure out that this is the blaze out of the millions of blazes. Because in order to do that, you have to figure out all the clues. So, again, all of that stuff goes back to the importance of really understanding the poem. And it just gets more complicated from there. So you break when you're working on a big problem, you break it down into small things and you resolve the small things first. You look at this sentence here, if you have been wise and found the blaze, and break it down into its grammatical parts. Okay, right here, we have, like I said, that's an action that's being used as not an action. That's being used as an adjective, that verb. Okay. And it's saying if you have been wise. So if that's the case, then you know that it has to be an adjective. Okay. And then this is your verb, right? So this is a state of being. This is not an action. Okay. But this is definitely an action down here. And the action is that you're going to found a blaze. Which blaze? The blaze. Now you don't know what the blaze is. The blaze, The means that it's known. Like if I went in Yellowstone Park and I said the canyon, the only canyon that I could be talking about is the Grand Canyon in the Yellowstone Park. There's probably 100 canyons in there, just like there's a million of blazes. But the blaze or the canyon would be that canyon. That would be an assumption that you could safely make once you've gotten somebody in within the bounds of the area that you're sending them to. You know, if I was sending somebody to Epcot Center in Florida and I said the ball or the sphere, I don't have to say the name of that sphere, you know, planet Earth or whatever the heck it happens to be called. I would say the sphere. And my God, I mean, if you can't figure that out, you know, hang it up. So everything is relative, but you have to break everything down to their components and fully understand what they are before you even attempt to hit the dictionary. And the other thing I would do before I hit the dictionary is make sure that you use the poem on the book and locate the hints so that you can find out which definition Forrest might have had in mind. Because his definition is the only one that matters. Okay. It doesn't matter what I think found means, but what does Forrest think found means? That's the important thing. If you don't use his definition, you're just guessing. So the poem purists that say, well, I don't want to use the book. I don't care about Forrest's definition. Well, you're biasing your entire solve to what you think the words mean. And that right off the bat, right out the gate, is wrong. This is why the hints are so important. And so is understanding the poem. And obviously, the poem purists know that. Matter of fact, before I did this diagramming video, I talked to Sean Dodson because I thought that he would be a good person to do this because he's a poem purist and I think he's college educated. He's more articulate than me, but he didn't want to do it. So I told him, okay, I'll do it. And unfortunately, I'm not as good at explaining things as a college graduate maybe, but I certainly understand what I'm talking about. So I struggled to get my idea across. And but anyhow, the point of this is, yeah, you know, the irony might be that there's some mistakes. There still could be mistakes, but the point is twofold. One, I'm not really concerned about the semantics, and number two, the point is that's good. That whole exercise forced me to take a deeper look at this sentence in the stanza. And it also forced somebody watching my video to take a better look because they're looking at it and they're finding a mistake that I made. And that's great. You know, I mean, you can point out mistakes if you see them. I don't get mad when somebody disagrees with me if they tell me what I did wrong and why I did it wrong and why they think it, you know. Sort of like Frank did and sort of like Greg did in the video. Um, you know, they didn't just come out and say, that's wrong, dude. You know, that's bullshit. I don't tolerate that kind of crap. It's wrong. Get the hell out. Go pound salt up your ass. I don't care. You know, but if you came in there and said, dude, it's wrong because have been, you know, is attached to been and, you know, and found and have found. The reason why that's confusing is you get hung up on the contraction. Okay. Because it's hiding the word have. So if you break out the word have, you can closer see that have is an auxiliary verb for been. So have been wise is one phrase, and found the blaze is the other verb phrase. So you notice I'm not looking at individual words. I didn't go out and look up have and been and wise and found and the and blaze. I did not do that stuff until I understood the context because now I know that this is a verb and I know it's tense. I know that this is a noun. So if blaze is also used as a verb, I'm going to ignore those definitions because it is not a blaze. Not the way Forrest used it in the poem. Now, somebody might say to me, well, aren't you shooting yourself in the foot? What if he did mean blaze to be a verb? Well, it doesn't make sense to me. That would be subterfuge. That would be Forrest intentionally putting something out there to screw us up. Okay, and in order to know whether that's a noun or a verb or whatever, it requires some background knowledge. And like Forrest says, it doesn't matter, you know, who you are. It matters who they think you are. Well, you know, when he wrote the poem, he's going to assume that if somebody did everything correct, that they would get the correct place. But he's also hiding things in the word, like his choice of words, because found. He didn't use seen. If you have been wise and you've seen the blaze, or if you have been wise and you touched the blaze, or you have been wise, there's plenty of other verbs that he could have chose there. But found was specifically chosen because of the fact that it does two things. It sets the tense, and it also has the meaning that he wanted. And it also means that you're going to see it, because it's impossible to found something in a foundry and not see it. Okay. But if he would have put the word seen there, it would have made this too obvious. Or actually, it would have been wrong, because you're not going to see it until you've created it. So the whole key here is the verb found. You understand what I'm trying to say here? So the previous lines do that. And anyway, I just wanted to put this out there. I want to thank the people that said that there was some irony, and I knew about it. And frankly, I just didn't dwell on it because I'm not good. I'm not an expert at this, but certainly point out these things to me, because I'll do a follow up video like I did here, and I'll explain it. And I'll tell the people that, hey, look at the comments there. He pointed this out. Because it's not about me. I'm not trying to be Mr. Big Shot here. I'm trying to put things out there that are thought provoking. I expect feedback, and the feedback that I get is not always going to be positive. I'm learning, just like all of us. Okay, but I'm trying to share what I've learned. I've been working with this grammar stuff since last year, and it's really hard. I struggle. It's not easy. I mean, grammar is extremely complicated. Forrest knows that, and you can bet that he's an expert at it, because he's using slight nuances to his advantage. Which brings me to my next video that I'm going to do. I found some interesting things out, but I'm not going to put it in this video. I'll put it in the one that I'm going to come out with you later today or tomorrow. But it's cool. Anyway, have a good day, folks. And everything still remains the same as far as my other videos. Nothing was really wrong. But thank you to those who corrected this, and have a good day. Peace.